Greenway is the CEO and principal consultant of Career Aviators. So Career Aviators is Canada's only career management firm that is a certified B Corporation. Career Aviators helps professionals, managers, and executives find positions in which they will excel, value highly, and love to do. The profits from our work support programs to help vulnerable youth flourish in the face of highly stressful life situations. Wayne is a highly experienced workshop facilitator who specializes in experiential approaches to workshop delivery. So it sounds like you've got quite the experience and you're giving back as well. So how amazing is that?
Well, thank you very much for the introduction. I guess I'll just get started.
Yeah, if you want to get started, I'll leave you to it, and I'll be back just at the end to help you with any questions and just quick thanks. So I'll be back towards the end.
Okay.
Okay. Thanks, Wayne.
Thanks very much. Okay. Hello, everyone. My name is Wayne Greenway. I own Career Aviators, as Rachel mentioned, and I'm here today to talk with you about, well, why you're not getting job offers, but also how to get job offers. And within that, we're going to talk about why you're maybe not getting interviews and how to get interviews. And what I want to do is to start off by saying, first off, that if you're not getting interviews, it's not necessarily anything to do with your application or your resume. The HR system of recruitment is actually a broken system that you're trying to navigate. And that's not me saying that, that's in the literature. And I'll just give you an example of what the situation is like. This is just a small example. I have a friend who's an HR director in Waterloo. A fairly small company. There's a 2-person HR department. She wrote a very specific job description, posted it on Indeed, and thought she'd maybe get 50 or 60 applications because it was very specific. Ended up with 300 applications. Well, how does a 2-person department manage 300 applications when they've got a million other things to do in their job search? So I mean, it isn't best practice, but basically survival method, but she picked 50. And I suspect there's a lot of HR departments that are in that situation where they just don't have the time to review them. And that's why you'll read in the literature that your resume only gets viewed for maybe 15 to 40 seconds because it just isn't the time. And so she picked 50 of the 300. They split the two lists, went through those applications. Again, not a lot of time, you know, maybe I asked her 20 or 30 seconds on application, they pulled out 10 in total that were pretty good fits. And then they selected down, went through them in detail and selected down to 6 and did screening interviews with 6. Now, screening interviews are interviews that are done at the beginning of, you'll have them at the beginning of your search, and it's really to see if you have the skills to do the job, you know, because they need to send people who are the right fit, at least in terms of skills, for the job to the hiring manager. And if they don't, they're in trouble. So they did calls with about 6 people for screening and then narrowed down to 4. So let's look at those numbers again. They out of the 300, 296 people will get no reply to that job. And 4 people will get a reply to that job. And then those 4 people will have a second interview, and 1 of those people will get the job. So out of 300 people, you've got 299 rejections. So that's the magnitude of the situation that you're working in. And so it could be that you've done a perfect application. It could be that you're a perfect fit for the job, but it's just a numbers game. And so how do we navigate through a broken recruitment system? And so you're probably thinking that what I'm going to tell you about is about resumes and interviews, and I am. But what the most important thing for your job search is mindset and focus. And you may be rolling your eyes and saying, you know, like, mindset and focus. It sounds like hocus pocus to me, but it's actually vital. Mindset and focus affects the direction that you choose to go in your search. It affects your resume. It affects your interview. It even affects your negotiation. It's critically important that you have the right mindset and focus. And just to give you an idea of that, pretend you were a hiring manager. Who would you want to hire? Somebody who comes in and they're focused and flexible. They know themselves well. They know the strengths that they really want to use in the job that you have available. They're present in the interview. They ask good questions. They're curious. They're open-minded. Or the person who seems kind of desperate, maybe their body language kind of gives that away, or something funny about the way they present, or they kind of seem willing to do almost anything if you just give them the job. Or they don't really know what strengths. They've got lots of strengths. They've had some successes in their career, but they don't really know exactly what strengths they really want to use. Maybe they have kind of a fixed mindset about things, and maybe they're not very present in the interview. They're just kind of look like they're thinking about maybe their shopping list or other things, but they're not really present with you as the interviewer. And so naturally, you'd pick the first person, right? So that's just to show how much impact it has, and that's in an interview, but it affects the way you write your letters and everything. So what we want to talk about is that now that you've got the right mindset, we want to talk about getting interviews, and so there's 3 things I want to talk about getting interviews. One is you need to be known by the company. If you're applying to jobs on Indeed cold, which means that you're not known to the company, not known to the hiring manager, you stand an 8% chance. That's the single-digit number, 8% chance of getting an interview. And whereas if you do networking the right way, then you're going to be able to increase your odds to about 70%. And that networking, I mean, I can answer questions about it, but that's a whole session in and of itself, or a few sessions maybe, on how to do it the right way. But if you can talk to the hiring manager before the job is even posted by doing your networking the right way, it's called the hidden job market. Or if you can get a referral, a lot of companies are using the referral method, so they don't bother with the posting. If there's no union and they're not a big institution, a lot of smaller companies will just put it out to their staff first and say, we're looking for this kind of person. And if that staff person had a client who landed a job this way, through effective networking, they talked with the person who was in the company. This is way before the job came up, but that person remembered having the conversation with the person, referred them to the job, they got through the probationary period, and that person, the employee who referred them, got a $5,000 bonus, which is kind of nice to have. And so getting known by the company is crucial to getting an interview. The second thing that I want to talk about is targeting the right job. I can't say this without smiling. You're going to find, if you're applying to jobs on Indeed, those job ads are kind of like horoscopes. Because if I was to read you the wrong horoscope out of a newspaper or online, and I wouldn't tell you, you'd probably say, oh yeah, that fits me. Well, job ads or job descriptions on Indeed are the same thing. You read them and you find yourself saying, oh, I could do that, I could do that. And as soon as you hear yourself saying, I could do that, put the brakes on. Because what you need to do is you need to say to yourself, do I have multiple successes for multiple qualifications? Multiple successes for multiple qualifications. So that means take each qualification, go to each job in your resume and say, do I have successes in that job that speak to that qualification? And you need to have several successes across your jobs in order to be chosen. And that's true for, and they need to be in the language that they're using, not your language. So you need to customize the application using their language, and that will help with any automated systems of screening resumes. So the third thing that's really important to get interviews is making sure that that your job bullets are accomplishment focused. This is absolutely critical. You know, take for example, somebody writing a bullet. It's a really simple example, but responsible for all book sales in the fiction department of the bookstore. That's their bullet. Compared to increase the sales of books, increase sales of fictional books by 40% in the bookstore. Which one's a stronger bullet? And you want to make sure that all your bullets start with action words, and they speak to the success, and they show wherever possible the magnitude of your success. Okay, so now let's say you're getting asked to come to interviews, and you need to land those interviews. Say you're stuck there, because a lot of people get stuck there. So you want to remember when you're going to an interview to know who you are talking to. You're not talking to your mom. You're not talking to your spouse or your best friend. You're talking to a hiring manager who's looking for somebody to do a job, and they need to have certain skills for that job. And so when you're answering a question, just an example, when you're answering a question like, why do you want this job? I can't tell you, I've done about 5,000 interviews in my career, and I can't tell you the number of people who will tell you why they want the job in a way that will help them. But as a hiring manager, I want you to tell me why you want the job in a way that's going to help our department or our company, or help you to be successful, or to help you grow in the field that you're applying in. So it's not about you. It's always all your answers should be directed to how you're going to help the department, the company, the manager. Think of who you are talking to. You don't need to tell them what they want to hear, but you need to think of who you're talking to. So the second point is in two parts. Prepare, prepare, prepare. I can't tell you how many times how important that is, but it's absolutely critical. So to prepare for an interview, take every qualification, put it in a chart, and beside each qualification, write a success story that speaks to that qualification from your career. And your success stories can all be the same format. When I was working at ABC company, I did this, and this is the result, and a successful result. And you want to have a story for every major qualification. You also want to look at the duties that are usually above the qualifications in the job description, and you want to say, well, what are the most important duties? You know this field. So you want to create a story for those. And then what you want to do is to think of those nasty, I call them nasty. I never liked them when I was doing interviews, behavioral questions. Those are the questions like, tell me about a time when you had a conflict with a coworker, or tell me about a time when you were overloaded with work and you just couldn't handle anymore. What did you do? Or tell me about a time when you had a difficult customer. There'll be questions like that. What you want to do is create a story for each of those situations, and you could guess at what the stories are going to probably be that you need to create by thinking about the job and thinking, what are the common problems? If you're in customer service, it's going to be something to do with that, and so on. Okay, so, and I'm on the home stretch here. I'm running a bit behind. So the summary is: get known by the company, target the right job, make sure your bullets are accomplishment oriented, know who you're talking to the interview, and prepare, prepare, prepare. And I'm happy to take questions, and I think there's been some questions in the chat box here. Let's see if there's any questions. You're welcome to put them in the chat box. Can you elaborate on getting and maintaining a positive attitude and focus with 100+ rejections? Well, I think that I'd be interested in knowing whether it's 100 plus rejections or 100 plus no answers. If it's 100 plus no answers, you know, that's not uncommon. Change your search strategy. What you want to do is you want to decide on them, instead of trying to fit yourself into those ads and trying to figure out how you fit. What you want to do is you want to decide the job that you want. What are the strengths you want to use? What are you most curious about doing? What are the values that are going to drive your strengths? You need to start with that. And then from there, determine a job title that matches with that. And then decide that you're going after that job title, that job, no matter what. And you're going to network like heck to find out about jobs before they're posted, by doing proper networking. And so rather than trying to fit yourself into the ad, decide what you want and network to go after it, and stay focused. Job search is like a funnel. And so you start out really wide, and when you start doing your networking, you want to be very focused. And I wouldn't be searching for more than 2 roles. Maybe the job is the same thing but called different names, but you don't want to be searching for more than 2 roles, because what you want to do is you want to network with enough volume of people to become known. You want to become a known person amongst people who are doing that kind of work in order to land that job. Really awesome insight. Multiple successes, multiple qualifications. Will attendant get a recording of this? I don't know if they will. I don't know if they send a recording. Sorry. Rejection is simply redirection for better opportunity. Great comment. Any other questions? I am from the travel industry and have ample experience in managing and heading teams and departments, but I don't know how to portray myself for other industries in the same capacity. Well, that's a good question. What you want to do is to write down, go through your career, write down your successes that you've had in your career, and look at the pattern of those successes. What are the things that are making you, what's made you successful in your career? And then look at what you're most curious about. You know, because curiosity is so important. It's the most important thing in landing a job. If you're curious, your networking is going to go extremely well. If you're not curious, then you're not a curious person, then you're going to have trouble, because it's going to show up in your mindset and focus. So I would say that might be a one way to do it. With ATS, how can we prepare one resume to suit all? Never. Even though I want to have a result-oriented. Okay, so you never do a resume to support. Never, 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 never. I don't mean to be critical, but don't do a resume for all your jobs. What you want to do when you customize a resume is you want to take each qualification, go to each job, and you want to tailor that, the bullets under that job to talk about the successes you've had that match those qualifications, and you want to use their wording, their specific keywords. Because with ATS, it's designed to pick up your keywords, and the number of times the keywords come up is an indication of whether you might be a candidate. And so you want to use their words to describe your success, not yours. So everyone, and if you do a master resume, that's what I have clients do a master resume. I get them to list every possible success they've had under every job, and properly worded. Then when you customize, what you do is you delete the ones that are not relevant, because they don't want to hear that. When you apply for a job, you're applying to get the interview, not the job. So you want to speak just to the things that they advertise in the qualifications, and you want to show that your success, their pattern of successes. And your letter is going to not speak to any particular jobs, it's going to speak to the pattern of successes you've had that you want them to look at in the resume. Are you aware of travel industry has been affected badly for all health and pandemic? Yeah, as you're aware, yeah, I know the travel industry is up, but you know what? If you're in the travel industry, think of other industries maybe that you've worked with. You know, put yourself in the center of a page and draw your connections to different aspects that you've worked with in the past, and start thinking about how you could bring those strengths to other areas. What if it looks like you have gaps in your employment oh, okay, so you don't remove positions, but what you do is you remove bullets that don't pertain to the qualifications. So never remove positions. You go back 10 years, and after 10 years, what I get clients to do is put another heading that says other pertinent experience. And under that, you can cherry pick, but the rest of your resume should be chronological. I'm sorry, but functional resumes drive people who do a lot of screening of resumes crazy, because they're really hard to figure out what you've done when and where you've been successful. So I strongly urge you to use a chronological resume. It works better. Great insight, thank you. Okay, add how to make your cover letter. It's important. Yes, it is. Cover letters are really important. You'll find though that sometimes people don't. As I said, I've done a lot of interviewing, and a lot of those interviews have been on panel interviews with other people, and you'll find that some people don't bother reading the letter, but it's still really important to do it right. And you don't want a long letter. You want something you want to be able to tell in 40 seconds how you fit that job perfectly. And so in that letter, you basically want one line that says, I'm writing to apply for the position of, second line that says, 2 lines maybe that says why you want the job, and then a statement that says, I would bring to this position the following strengths, and then say that direct the person with 5 bullets that speak to the pattern of your success across your career. And you'll find that method works really well. Bullets are perfectly acceptable in a letter these days, and you can get your point across really quickly without having to talk. Let your resume be the evidence for how you fit the job. Don't try to say the same stuff in the letter as you're already saying in the resume. You only got 40 seconds, so use it wisely. How about combination resumes? Yeah, I know every expert will tell you something different, but I've had 165 clients now, and I have a 93% success rate in helping people find jobs in which they excel, they value highly, and they love to do. And we use a chronological resume, and it's just so easy to scan, because the first thing they're going to do is look for gaps, because people don't want to take any risks. If you have a big gap in your resume, it needs to be explained somewhere, either in the resume itself or in the letter. And if you want to know more about that, I can explain how to do it in the resume. It's harder in the letter. Any more questions? Wow, not too many questions today. I will mention that if you're interested in, and it's not an advertising thing, if you're interested in mindset and focus, I'm doing a workshop in January on it, and I teach people a method where they do 3 minutes a day, and they learn how to get that sense of mindfulness that they need. So if you want to learn more about that, you can find it on Eventbrite, or I can post a link if you want.
Amazing. Well, thanks so much for that, Wayne. You had a lot of questions. If anybody has any other questions, can they reach out to you? How can they reach out to you?
They can reach me at wayne.greenway@careeraviators.com. Should I type that?
I'm a slow typist. It's wayne.greenway@career. Is that, I just put it in there. Is that correct?
Okay. Right. Yeah, that's perfect. Thanks.
Perfect. Awesome. Well, thank you.
I was just going to say that, like most career coaches, I see people for a session for free for a session, so that I can help you with your immediate problems, or if you have questions to follow up, just send me an email. We'll book a time.
Well, that's amazing. Well, thank you so much for being here. That was you had a lot of questions, so that was great content. So thank you so much again, Wayne. We really appreciate it. And if you need to reach out to Wayne, that's his email address, and I'm assuming your website's careeraviators.com.
It is. Thanks so much.
All right.
Bye.
The next session starts in just a couple minutes. So thanks so much. Thanks so much, Wayne, again.